I can't tell you how much I dislike this phrase, but it's official. The Nissan Leaf is $30,000 starting price for 2026. It's coming out in the fall, and it's $35,000 with the bigger battery and more stuff, which gives us a perfect opportunity to talk about that number, $30,000. The Bolt is $30K. The Equinox right now can be had for $30K, and I just bought a new vehicle for the equivalent of $30K. We'll talk about that a little bit in this video as well, but the first deep dive today has to be the Leaf's specs. Let's look at what the article says. An effortless charging experience, improved battery range, and a lower MSRP than 15 years ago. That SV Plus, like I mentioned, is $34,230, cheaper than the 2025 Leaf. But obviously the one you're going to want is the Platinum, which has a dual motor Model 3 price of $38,990. The most compelling thing I found in this article so far is NACS compatibility with plug-in charge. Well, let's look at this number 4 caveat here, because if NACS is plug-in charge, Nissan's really got a beat on people. Subscription and activation required. Okay, so plug-in charge is a caveat. Either way, it does have that NACS port, which happens to be on the front, which is unfortunate, but at least it's on the passenger side. And I don't know how you feel about these, but motorized flush door handles are new on the Leaf. I'm not a fan, but for efficiency, they're definitely helpful. And I wonder about this dimming panoramic roof. Displays are average size for EVs, 12 and 14. This is huge here. Google built in intelligent route planner and the use of other familiar apps. So Android Automotive. Yep, here it is. Google Maps. It's like a 360 camera is also available. And the 360 view is going to be very helpful for pulling up to the supercharger since they didn't think to put the port on the back. You'll probably really benefit from that 360 camera. Might as well check out the spec sheet because people have been waiting for this car for a while. Base model gets a 130 kilowatt motor with 52 kilowatt hour battery. The onboard charger is 7.2 kilowatt, so they definitely didn't do their homework on that one. 174 horsepower on the base, 214 horsepower on the others. You get a charge cable, vehicle to load capability, 18-inch wheels until you upgrade to the Platinum Plus, LEDs all around, mirror turn signals, heated mirrors, memory mirrors, roof rails, the dimming roof only available on the top trim, power lift gate as well, Google Assistant, Google Maps not included on the base model trims. So to advertise $30,000 and then not include any of the really important route planning and travel stuff, it's pretty harsh. You do get wireless CarPlay, Android Auto with all the trims, 4-speaker stereo in the base models, 6-speaker on the SV Plus, and 10 speakers on the Platinum Plus. 2 USB-Cs are standard, you only get more in the 2 upper trims. Bluetooth, 5G, standard equipment, heads-up display available on the Platinum Plus trim. ProPilot Assist is standard on all models, that's huge, I like that. Power button on all trims, no regen paddles on the cheaper models, auto wipers on the Platinum Plus, hands-free text messaging assistant, that's nice. Vehicle to load on all trims, well done. You get a plug in the cargo area on the Platinum Plus. Looks like all the driving safety features are standard except sonar, which is only available in the Platinum Plus and the SV Plus. Dimensions, seating capacity, headroom, legroom, you can look at that as needed. You want a battery heater, you got to pay extra on the SV Plus and Platinum, not available on the lower trims, so this sucker won't be fun in the wintertime. As a matter of fact, let's look at some of these option costs. The battery heater is $300, and you can only get it on the top 2 trims. Those are reasonable prices for paint. Splash guards, protection package, nothing really to see here. CCS adapter, $170. Remember, that's not an NACS adapter, it's the other way around. You'll need that. Illuminated package, that's a lot of money for that. So really the only disappointment here is that the battery heater can only be had on the top 2 trims. And that 120 volt power outlet is also an option on the Platinum Plus. So that's what you're looking at for a $30,000 EV in 2026, which really starts this fall. The Bolt will be the same price, and we can probably expect a 2023 Bolt to be a good predictor of the standard features. But I want to look at right now. I found an Equinox recently for $36 and change before the tax credit. So the Equinox to buy is a $30,000 EV. And this was an all-wheel drive LT, because as long as they want to make that stat sheet on the Leaf, there's one thing that the Leaf does not get, and that's all-wheel drive. Does that change your mind about it? Let me know in the comments below. But I recently sold my Toyota RAV4, and it was to be able to afford the transaction to get rid of my Prologue, which was $10.50 a month at 7%. I couldn't do it anymore. But then I quickly realized that my Blazer EV SS was not going to be a winter car that my wife could use for work because she drives in places that are unfun to drive, to be short. So what do I get? Well, if $30,000 is the floor for EVs, what if I could get one for under $30,000 with, what's that word again? Seltos Kicks Impreza. That's it for me for $30,000 if I want all-wheel drive gas car. And of course, I spent 12 hours negotiating my mom's new HR-V down to $30,000 out the door. But remember, $30,000 out the door is way cheaper than a $30,000 starting price. Let's look at this Chevy Trax, for example. This guy right here reads $30K to me. Multiply by 1.06 for taxes, destination, registration, fund fees, notary fees, dealer fees, processing fees. Unless your loan is 0%, this is 30 or 32K even. And what's that payment work out to? Most dealers want $4,000 down. Most loans are 5% or worse. That's $390 a month with $4,000 down. And remember, if you get your vehicle after September 30th, which will be all of these Leafs, there will be no credit, at least at the federal level. You might be lucky and get a state credit, Colorado, California, etc., but there's no more federal credits. So what if you put no money down on the Trax? That's $450 a month at 5%, and it's $32,000. And of course, the Chevy Trax is not all-wheel drive. It's front-wheel drive only. If you want an all-wheel drive Toyota, and the rumor is a lot of people do, that's going to start at $30,000. So what's the difference right now as far as parity between ICE and EV? You can get ICE for $30. With all-wheel drive, you can get EV for $30 without all-wheel drive. But what if you could have both? What if you could have an electric RAV4 for $30K? Well, I'm a good person to ask because that's what I got. You can say that the Subaru Solterra is a co-developed vehicle with Subaru, but you should check out the interior of this 2026 RAV4 before you tell me that this Solterra is not just RAV4. What vehicle does Subaru build that's similar to this Solterra? Nothing. But boy, does it look like a RAV4 the closer you get and the more you inspect it. And if we look at the S trim or the S Plus trim of the Nissan Leaf, I think I ended up with more features, or at least something comparable. So, what's my point here? You may be excited about the Leaf. It may be really cool and shiny and new. Same with the Bolt. But if you want a Bolt, get a used Bolt. My son has Apple CarPlay in his Bolt, and it cost $11,000, $13,000 out the door. And it had 5,000 miles on it, with brand new brakes, brand new rotors, and a brand new battery. Those Bolt buybacks are still out there. So if you're in the market for a front-wheel drive, decently long-range EV, that's definitely the one. 10 to 80% in the new Leaf is 35 minutes. At 50 kilowatts in a Bolt with 66 kilowatt hours of battery, right here is the 10 to 80% time. And you can talk to me about the cool roof and the Google built-in and the navigation and the assistant, but that's a $40,000 Leaf you're talking about. I'm sure the same will be true with the Bolt. A 2020 Premier for $15,000, let's say, pessimistically, with very low miles, is going to have more features, be just as reliable, have just as much power, and literally be half the money. But I know what you'll come back at me with on that. Used car loans are insane, right? 10%, 12%, 15%. These are not uncommon numbers right now. The average auto loan on a used car is like 11%. So if you don't have the cash, a used car might be just the same amount of money as a brand new one, which is why you would buy new in most cases, which is why I bought new. We were looking at $15,000, $16,000 EVs with all-wheel drive, which there aren't basically any. So then we went for gas cars in that price range. Well, that doesn't get you much of a gas car either, honestly, used, all-wheel drive, so what can we get for new? My Solterra lease was $1,242 down, which included destination, registration, fees, and my first lease payment, and then 35 additional payments of $285, which if you do the math is like 11 grand over 36 months. And that's all in. Next, the residual on that car is 18,000 and change. So what do we end up with? If we decide to buy it out and we save the cash between now and 3 years from now, the Subaru Solterra will end up costing us $30,000. It's all-wheel drive. It has the size of a RAV4, which means it's definitely going to be bigger than the Leaf. 8.3 inches of ground clearance. Approach and departure angles are insane. It's really good in the ruts and the mud. I bought the cheap wheels, the cheap tires. They're 60 series, 18-inch with hubcaps. This thing has lane centering, wireless Apple CarPlay. It doesn't have one-pedal driving, but does the Leaf? I didn't see one-pedal driving listed on any of those specs. One-pedal driving should be something you mention on your spec sheet if you're going to feature it. So should you be excited about the new Leaf? Yes. But what is it really saying? You can now have a $30,000 EV, just no more all-wheel drive, unless you act before September 30th. And if you don't like the Solterra and the BZ4X because, well, they're charging nightmares, they don't have a lot of range, etc. Well, the Leaf's not going to have a lot of range either unless you pay $40,000 and get the big battery. And at $40,000, if you're really worried about range and charging, you should be on the Tesla website. Am I wrong? What we ended up with was an electric RAV4 with a sub $300 a month payment and a $30,000 price tag if we decide to keep it, which we're going to decide to keep it. So is the Leaf competitive? Yes, unless you live in an area where all-wheel drive is a must. Then it's just a $30,000 second car. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Join Patreon or become a YouTube member for early access to videos and subscribe for more. We'll see you on the next one.
Hey, smash the like button.
Thank you.